to get on here while this is hot. So we had a finisher today in the workout. That was the 20-meter beep test, which is like a running, sprinting test. And some of you are like, I'm not doing that. I don't like tests. But the thing is that tests are really good for us if we know how to be on our own team. If we know that engaging the reality of what we know we can do, what we're capable of doing, we're okay that it's hard. We're okay that we're going to fail, because we are. But in this beep test, we did a burpee beep test, and we gave the girls an option. If you're maybe not the slow or the fastest burpeer, then you're going to go do one burpee every beep. So basically what happens is there's levels and there's a beep, and you have to finish the work inside of this beep. And if your burpees are quick, then you do two. And here's the thing, is that when we put ourselves under pressure like that, we get to see who we are and what we're made of. So I'm in here in the gym by myself, and I am noticing that my burpees are getting slower. Obviously, I'm tired. As the beeps get closer together, I'm running out of wind. I can't do them as fast. I have less rest, right? And there's this part of me that's like, but if you slow down just a little bit more, you won't make it inside the beep. And then in my mind, I'm sitting there and I'm going, yeah, but what if I chose to just see what I could do instead of worrying about failing, and knowing that like sometimes the most we can give is still not enough to be able to go on to the next level, right? And so I like shifted my mindset while I was in it to just go, let's see how far I can go. Instead of quitting on myself, I found failure, right? Which are two completely different things, which is probably for a different video. But ultimately, what I want to say to you is that it's so important for you to test yourself, not to see if you're good or you're bad or you're right or you're wrong. That's where we've attached identity to tests, is like, if we get something wrong, then we're bad. If we get something right, then we're good. And that is not what this is about, but we have been so wired for that. And we function so much out of self-esteem that if I'm better than other people, if I get things right, then I'm good, and it bolsters up our self-esteem. But what ends up happening when we're only driven by self-esteem is, the fact of the matter is that self-esteem it's like a comparison tool. Like, I know I'm doing good if I'm better than other people, if I'm excelling in these certain areas. But what happens is that we then take easy routes out. We quit. There's not a lot of space for learning, because your self-esteem is only bolstered when you're better than somebody, when you do it right. And there's not a lot of place for learning and growing, because we're going to take the easiest route. So we know that we did good so that we can feel good, so that our self-esteem is bolstered. But what happens is the antithesis of self-esteem is actually self-compassion, and our ability to be with ourselves while we're suffering, to know that we're not the only people on the planet that are suffering, and then to be able to be mindful and notice what's going on inside of us when we are suffering, and can we stay with ourselves when something is hard, when we're struggling. We don't have enough compassion for ourselves because we've learned that compassion is just letting ourselves off the hook, and self-kindness feels like never pushing ourselves. But the beauty of self-compassion, or if you don't want to use that word, like being on your own team, being your best friend, challenging yourself to be not mediocre, to know that I can continue to burpee. I just am going to decide whether or not I'm going to keep burpeeing, because I could just let myself off the hook. But instead I just pressed in, and I was like, this is hard. But can you be with yourself in the pain, in the struggle, so that it doesn't turn into self-pity, that it doesn't turn into this long place of suffering because you feel bad for yourself? You can acknowledge this and know, like, gosh, this is so hard, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is hard. But oftentimes we don't want to acknowledge that it's hard, because if it's hard, then there's something wrong with us, which is not true. But if you're constantly trying to bolster up your self-esteem and you don't know how to function in any kind of self-compassion, then it's very hard to stay with yourself. You're going to go to the gym and you're going to use the gym as therapy, but then you're going to dissociate, leave your body, go somewhere else, not even be able to stay here, or you're going to quit on yourself because you don't want to be honest about how you're feeling and also stay in your body while you do the hard thing. So allow yourself to be tested, allow yourself to be tried, allow yourself to learn to persevere and to find like joy in struggle and joy in like doing these hard things, and let yourself build a pain tolerance in the gym, because then what it does is when the world gets hard and struggle and conflict come in the outside, you have a place that you've anchored yourself to, in that you know how to stay when things get hard instead of leaving the room.